My name is Marta. I'm the coordinator for adjunct faculty and instruction here in Continuing Ed, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar on continuing education and workforce development. You could have spent this Thursday evening anywhere, and you choose to spend it with us, so thank you. We appreciate you. Today, we will explore how continuing education and our adjunct faculty play a vital role in skill building and employment programs that impact thousands of individuals and their communities each year. And without further ado, let me introduce our presenters. Lynette Higgins is the Assistant Dean for Health and Business Services. She leads the team creating courses and programs to support a wide variety of business, allied health, hospitality, computer applications, and criminal justice careers. She has managed federal and state grants and worked with numerous organizations in the Baltimore region, designing and delivering customized contract training. She's a current board member for the Baltimore Alliance for Careers in Healthcare. Prior to joining CCBC in 2003, she worked in the private sector in marketing and management. She holds a BA in communications from the University of Minnesota and an MBA from St. Thomas University in St. Paul, Minnesota. Welcome, Lynette. Next up is Matthew Bernardi, Assistant Dean Workforce and Literacy. Since 2006, he has been working in workforce and education with local governments, employers, and community-based organizations, building holistic support service programming for people most in need. He has held multiple professional and leadership roles at CCBC, and since 2018, he has served as the Assistant Dean of Workforce and Literacy in Continuing Education. In his current role, he oversees adult basic and secondary education, English speakers of other languages, adults with learning differences and disabilities, workforce literacy, out-of-school youth, SNAP employment and training, and the Job Network program. That's quite a list. He earned his BA in English from the University of Iowa and a Master in Education in Educational Psychology from the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. And last but not least is Jay Bowie, Assistant Dean, Applied Technology and Logistics. He leads the areas of building and industrial technology, transportation, distribution, and logistics, information technology, career programming, and apprenticeships. He joined CCBC in 2008 and has held multiple management and leadership roles in the area of technical training. He has served as the Assistant Dean of Applied Technology and Logistics since 2018. He earned his Bachelor's of Science in Information Systems from Stevenson University and a Master of Arts in Contemporary Communications from Notre Dame of Maryland University. And with that, I will turn it over to our presenters. Can everybody see the slides? You guys good? Okay.
I really want to thank you so much, Marta, for the introductions to all the assistant deans and really for having us here this evening. It's really a pleasure to be able to talk about CCBC with this valuable group. So I just want to say I am Jay Bowie, and I'm the Assistant Dean of Applied Technology and Logistics. And there's a couple things that Marta said about me at the beginning, but probably some of the most important that aren't in my bio is that before I worked for the college, I worked for a small consulting company and I provided corporate training. I've also worked as an adjunct instructor for CCBC. And I think from experience, being in the classroom, I know at some point we say, why are you here? To our students. And I think that's kind of the point today, taking a broader perspective. So I think the best way to frame our presentation is, how does your valuable work as an instructor support the college's role in the community and the economy, and vice versa? So to do that, we are going to provide an overview of the many areas within continuing education. What is our impact? what kinds of resources the college uses to help students, and the many ways training is delivered. And of course, we'll have time for question and answers. The next slide. To get started, I think probably the most important thing that a lot of people really don't realize is that over half of the students at CCBC reside in continuing education. They are continuing education students. And there's good reason for that. We have one of the largest and most robust continuing education departments, not only in the state, but in the country. We have courses and programs of all different lengths and formats, from 1 day to several months, with classes beginning throughout the year. So there's a lot of different ways I could talk about that, but think day, evening, and weekend, and a lot of variations on that. We have many programs that have a built-in credential or certification, or they prepare students to take a certification examination. Next slide. I think when you hear workforce development, you kind of hear that in the news. You might see it on the CCBC website. Our president, Dr. Kurtinitis, frequently says that everything we do is workforce development. So the college must look at what is going on in the community and the economy and respond. Some examples are new technology, changing student support needs, changing types of education. Popular now is a focus on skill-based education. Sometimes the class maybe is a little further from the job, but it still supports work. For example, we offer foreign language courses in personal enrichment. Maybe that just helps someone going on vacation, but it's also personal development supporting the community, and it certainly might be used on the job. If you think of the college's courses as supporting employment, many of our classes fall in these categories. I mentioned personal enrichment, but think about getting prepared for some kind of employment by getting a GED, finishing that high school diploma. Think about getting ready for a specific job, which is a lot of what we'll talk about today. Pharmacy technician, getting ready to enter a specific job. But also the areas of gaining new skills, adding on someone who's been in the workforce for a while, adding a new skill. Project management, gaining a project management skill is a great example. Go to the next slide. So just when we think about workforce development, there's a lot of different organizations involved. And I think for a college, one of the first things that might actually come to mind are transfer partnerships. When you think about a college, partnerships with four-year colleges. And obviously we work with many local businesses, but for continuing education, the other assistant deans and I would like to point out that the college works with many agencies, organizations, nonprofits, and I'll highlight just a couple. One example you'll see in the list: Baltimore County Department of Economic and Workforce Development, otherwise known as DEWD, D-E-W-D. They have career centers that help any county resident with job searches and advancing in their career. In fact, the CCBC Hunt Valley and Randallstown Extension Centers are co-located with these career centers. DEWD also funds certain training activities that we'll talk about a little bit further in the presentation. Another organization that we partner with frequently is the Maryland Department of Labor, and that organization helps us with grants, grant funding. The Maryland Department of Labor also oversees registered apprenticeship programs, with which the college is a sponsor of several. Next slide. And I'm going to hand the baton to Assistant Dean Matt Bernardi.
Yep, and thank you, Jay. Just like Jay said earlier, thank you for having us today. I think you'll find, listening to Jay, Lynette, myself, that we work together every single day because it really is a larger holistic approach to how we serve students in continuing education, as well as CCBC as a whole. But a lot of the stuff we do in one area touches some of us in another area. So when you're really taking a good look at sort of the overview of services and how we engage, you can kind of group up some of these pieces of work. So when you look, I guess you call it, lifetime of learning opportunities, because there are landing spots for us at any given time, no matter where you exist in that learning spectrum. Right now, between Jay and Lynette, we have a significant number of short-term workforce career training programs, a lot of courses, and courses in health and business and trades, logistics and information technology. It's very flexible. Jay and Lynette are going to make sure that if there is an opportunity and a need in a technical training area, that if we don't do it, they can find a way to bring it on board for everybody. That's huge. Not a lot of institutions actually are as quick and flexible as we are here, specifically, the good work that they do in their area with their teams. Um, Underneath that, we of course have literacy. We have many different ways in which we're engaging with basic literacy. It could be workforce readiness. It could be adult basic secondary education. It could be ESOL. It could be tied to the workplace. And we've had well, right now we actually have contracts with some Chick-fil-A stores, believe it or not. We have contracts with Johns Hopkins, all the while training incumbent workers, helping them with basic literacy skills, with languages. These things are happening all the time. They're happening all the time. We have the Job Network program. Now, Job Network is SNAP, so you guys have probably heard quite a bit about that. But SNAP and TANF, and really these are benefits through Department of Social Services, through the feds. TANF is temporary assistance for needy families. Can be heard. You can hear it as cash assistance. SNAP, Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. It's the old food stamps program. But there's also employment and training programs tied to SNAP. Basically, what that means is we're helping the students that are most in need of support. It's a very powerful program, has thousands of students roll through their doors annually. We have CASE, of course, as well. That's the Center for Alternative and Support Education. It's where you have students who have cognitive learning challenges and disabilities, and they need extra support and help. There's workforce programs in there so people can go out and get jobs. Like Jay said earlier, everything's workforce. But at the same time, there's life courses, there's skill courses, there's art courses, because people meet, we're there to meet people at whatever level they show up see at our doors at. We're not trying to put a round peg through a square hole. We're just trying to serve the larger community. Life enrichment courses. You guys have seen that. You see that in the summers when you have students on campus for summer programming. You could see it with seniors classes. It's all the things we offer to the community that's just that added benefit to create a thoughtful environment for all of us to live. Youth classes, right? That's what I was talking about, summer classes. That's where the youth show up. And then, seniors, adventures in sailing, sail. You've probably seen marketing for this. We do a lot of marketing for this stuff on the streets. But really, when you take into account all of that, it's a very holistic and large approach to what we're offering our constituents in our community. And I'll tell you, Jay, myself, Lynette, we're lucky enough to do some traveling and work with other schools and see what they're doing. And our portfolio of offerings is quite substantial. I mean, we're doing things at our institution that doesn't exist at other places, believe it or not. So we're very lucky to be able to do this for Baltimore County residents as well as out of county residents. Next slide, please. So the models, the modalities, how we deliver learning opportunities. It can be everything from open enrollment courses, which that's sort of our bread and butter, if you will. That's what you see in that, we call it the flexi, but that outreach document that we put out there. That's an easy way for folks to get into classes. But we also do a whole lot of customized courses for business and organizations. We can do intensive training. We can do boot camp things. You'd be surprised. That's one of the most amazing things is the pure flexibility that comes out of our area in continuing education. Loads of different certifications, ways to help people break out of different cycles of poverty or learning or just giving new opportunity. There's the work and learns. You've seen that apprenticeships are huge. Not only is it on the news, but you hear Dr. Kurtnitis speaking about it. A lot of clinical opportunities through health in Lynette's areas. We used to do stuff on campus, off campus, online, bright space, hybrid. We do a lot of hybrid opportunities in my area, but that has to happen everywhere now. Remote stuff through Zoom. I know you guys are delivering a lot of different things out there. I think that's what's most amazing. When we went through those COVID years, it was like putting us on a rocket ship and throwing us forward, because we had to increase what we could do, how we could do it, and then do it consistently and at scale. And we've only gotten better and better and better at it. So I tell people when I'm meeting with them all the time, if we don't do it, we'll figure out a way to do it. Whatever works best for our students. Next slide, please. So the services are pretty vast again, but it always starts first and foremost with financial aid and scholarships. You've seen the marketing for tuition free. We've been doing everything we can to make it tuition free for students that come here. We're always flexible. We always have a lot of different pools and pots of money. No one's meant to be an expert on it except for the people in financial aid. So there's a lot of ways to do it through the continuing education application, as well as through FAFSA and the larger CCBC approach through financial aid. But the reality is, if somebody wants to be here, we can almost always find a way to help them be here. We have SNAP outreach. That's a unique service. That's people going out both at the college, but also externally of the college, but trying to enroll people into SNAP benefits. There's more benefits than just food. There's other things that are offered, but it's a service that we can provide to our students, trying to help them, right? Trying to give them opportunity. Employment services. So we have career services, but some programs specifically have really in-depth services, some way more advanced than what you may get out of the Career Services Center. But it depends. Normally those are custom, they're contract, like Job Network. We have job developers on hand. We have that for out of school use. So we have some really unique opportunities where we really ramp up employment activities, job development activities. Support classes, though, Jay and Lynette and their teams are really masters of going after opportunities and saying, no, I need to have this stuff built in. And luckily we can do that, because the college has invested in building a whole unit that can do that kind of stuff on the Con Ed side. So we have academic success classes, computer classes, financial literacy classes, employment readiness courses. I actually was looking at the full listing today, and Lynette was with me when we sent some of that out to a potential partner, and it's a pretty substantial array of opportunities for folks. But tutoring, support services, from success navigators to disability support services, to everything from like adult basic education or national external diploma program. There's always going to be support pieces we can build around different opportunities. We have great advising both at the program level as well as through the advising center itself, as well as case management. So it truly is a very extensive set of offerings we have. So next slide, please. And Lynette, I think it's with you.
Yes, thanks, Matt. And I thanks everyone for joining us tonight to share a little bit. Jay, Matt, and I all kind of grew up in the college. We've been coordinators, we've been directors. So we've hired many adjunct faculty over the years ourselves and know how critical you all are to the work that we do. We have very few full-time faculty. We have a smattering in a few of our programs, but I'd say 90% of the instruction we do in all these different programs for all those different students is with our adjunct faculty. So we couldn't do it without you, and we really do appreciate you. I think part of what we're going to do tonight is just shine a light on the breadth of everything we have in continuing education and what's available to our students, so that as you are communicating with them, you have a better understanding of opportunities that our students could be taking advantage of. So that's really what we wanted to do here. We do have over 130 what we call workforce training certificate programs. All of these lead to usually specific jobs. Sometimes there's skill enhancement, but most of them are to specific jobs. They're broken out by industry, and we'll go through a few of them just to give you a flavor for them. It's not everything, but it's a handful of things from each area. And of course, we still have, in addition to that, we have all of the personal enrichment stuff. We have the seniors programs, the youth programs, the special populations that Matt talked about. But this little section of the presentation is really just focusing on our career training programs. I really should let Jay talk about this, but CCBC's been involved in the traditional apprenticeships for many years. We have partnerships with all the organizations shown here. We do a lot of the, those are careers and as electricians, as plumbers, as steam fitters, you can see sheet metal workers. We've been doing those for years and years. We work with either the unions or sometimes professional associations in providing the education for the students that are going through these programs. I'm ready, Marta. Again, here I am talking about Jay's stuff. Jay, if I'd say anything wrong, let me know, okay?
You're doing great.
All right. Building and industrial programs just gives you a flavor for the type of career training that Jay has in his area. Fab Lab is using the printers that produce 3D artifacts. We have some of the traditional stuff there. I don't even know what I could say what mechatronics is, Jay. What is that?
Mechatronics is really the fusion of mechanical, electrical, and automation all in one role. So that's one of the programs that we have. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it is neat. All the way through welding. Thank you. We have a wide variety of programs we put under the general heading of business. You can see a lot of them here. We have several programs in entrepreneurship. We have different levels of human resources. We have an entry level and a more advanced level. Same with the payroll. We have real estate if you want to become a real estate salesperson. We also have real estate appraisal. So there's just a wide variety of programs if somebody's interested in making a career shift or getting into a new career pathway. We have just a lot of things that we can offer to individuals. Let's see. How much farther do I go? Criminal justice? Oh, no, that's you, Jay. Do you want me to take this one for a minute?
I think I got it. This
Okay,
is continuing education on the fly. So
yeah, okay.
So CCBC's workforce programs in criminal justice and legal studies offers a variety of professional development and certificate options. I'll highlight just one of these programs because I just think it's really neat. Individuals who hold a special police officer or SPO commission have policing powers such as the ability to detain and arrest suspects and search vehicles, but only on the property of their employer. Kind of an interesting position. So it's an 84-hour program that covers aspects of policing, such as criminal and constitutional law, crime prevention, report writing, court procedures, and a lot of the different things that police officers do. It's really just kind of focused on a special application of being an officer. That program also includes defensive tactics and first aid CPR. Very interesting program. Next slide. So I think it's safe to say that the Health and Human Services program offerings are vast at CCBC. That's probably an understatement. CCBC is the largest provider of healthcare training in the state of Maryland. I hope I got that right, Lynette. These programs serve in-demand roles, covering, I believe, over 20 programs. And I think it's really important to point out that we are one of the few college campuses in the country that's built adjacent to a major hospital. And that would be at the CCBC Essex campus, right adjacent to Franklin Square Medical Center. So you can see I'm trying to highlight one program as I'm going through. I believe the massage therapy program was established in 2023, and massage therapists play a vital role in helping to maintain physical health and wellness. If you haven't had a massage, try one sometime, and I'll tell you how to get one in a minute. It's a 839-hour program that ultimately leads to a massage therapy licensure through the state of Maryland. And I mentioned that massage, we actually have a student massage clinic on Essex, the Essex campus that's open to the public. Next slide. I think everybody interacts with hospitality professionals on a regular basis. Students in hospitality programs could work in hotels, restaurants. We have a casino program, so you might find them casinos, even cruise ships, I believe, are landing points for some of these programs. So again, I'll highlight one of these programs, which I think is just really neat. The Food Works Basic Culinary Training Program. This is just a fantastic program in partnership with the Maryland Food Bank. 12 weeks, over 400 hours. It includes cooking techniques, recipe conversions, commercial equipment use, as well as food safety and sanitation standards. And I think the biggest plus with this particular program, it includes on-the-job training and on-the-job training experience right in the Maryland Food Bank's kitchen. Just a fantastic program. One example of our hospitality programs. Next slide.
Okay, so yeah, I think this one's back to me, and it's pretty funny. You can tell we just broke things up by threes to make it easier because Lynette's going over Jay's programs, Jay's going over Lynette's programs. I'm like, oh, I guess we really do cross sell this stuff all the time, don't we? So it makes me chuckle. Information technology programs. I mean, obviously, you guys hear that, AI, artificial intelligence, it's huge, it's growing, it's blowing up. And we're really fighting to get ahead of it and have a better understanding of it. And that goes to computer networking and cybersecurity, digital forensics, programming in general. I mean, the challenge that everybody has with these are where's it going to be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 and 20? These aren't static programs. They're growing and they're moving quickly. Cybersecurity, kind of Jay's point to highlight it. I mean, the Baltimore metro region is one of the hubs in the country. It's a major focal point, especially when we're this close to the federal government and as well as state government. I mean, we're well known regionally for this work. It's very serious, and you all have been through your training, at CCBC, I think. And the amount of times even our network gets hit annually, you have to be very vigilant to ensure that we're taking care of our students and their private information. And these are just wonderful areas, but they're changing every single day. I'm going to be very curious to see where they are in the near future. Next slide, please. So this is Jay again, transportation, distribution, and logistics. And I'll tell you though, I spent a lot of time with Jay and his team in this area because of the commercial vehicle operator program. So that's CDLA, A and B. But he also has other programs in that area, from automotive service attendant to certified logistics associate, warehouse distribution. We used to do a lot of that for out of school youth. But then you have supply chain professional and marine engineering repair, procurement, purchasing management, professional boat captain. Obviously, because we're in Baltimore, we're going to be touching anything, with the water, anything we can do to support that piece of work. I will say, CDLA and B, that's a huge program. We get a lot of funding for that, and that's where we're actually braiding stuff from my area to Jay's area, where we're taking folks who are unemployed or underemployed. We're braiding different funding, maybe through foundational work. Actually, I just got back last week. I mean, this is going to make you guys chuckle, but Metallica, the rock band, has a foundation called All Within My Hands, and they've been giving us money for years to work with folks who need assistance. And we actually ran a couple cohorts of CDLA with Metallica dollars, and then we braided it with other funds at the college so we could impact more people. But it's one of those areas where in a short period of time, people can go through training, get out and make $50,000 a year on day one when they're on the other side. And those opportunities are still rare. There may be a lot of what I call entry level jobs, but getting to middle level wages, that's a bigger jump. So there are fields that can do that through us. CDLA is one of them. The next slide, that's case single step. This actually is one of my areas. And I mentioned it earlier, and this is the area where we have cognitive students with cognitive learning disabilities and challenges. But it everything they do here, these are different training programs they have, um, from childcare, office skills, professional animal workers, veterinary assistant, warehouse tech. All these folks go through these programs and they can get jobs. But what I think is so important about CASE is that it literally is the only program in the state of Maryland, really, that does it at this scale. There's a couple other small ones, but they don't do anything like we do. We have people coming from all over the state for this programming, and we do this in alignment with doors through the state. And I'll tell you, you talk about impacting people's lives. When you see these students graduate, and you hear their stories, and you hear them speak and tell you their story. And we actually give at our graduation ceremonies, any student who goes through these programs, if they want to get up and talk, they can. And to hear them come up and their families, it's life-changing stuff. But CASE is a very unique program. It's really based, we run in Catonsville, but it's based out of Dundalk. So you may see some of our students at certain times, but you have to have a college that's truly invested in supporting those students, because it takes a lot of learning to do that programming well, and a lot of support across all layers of an institution. So CASE, it's got a special place in our heart, institutionally, and you will not see much, too many programs that are similar to this anywhere. And I mean that. There are some in other states, but definitely in Maryland. So, all right, next slide.
Well, that sort of concludes our overview of what's going on in continuing education, and especially within career workforce development piece. So we did want to make sure we had some thoughts about how can you help our students even more than you already do. One thing is you can help them understand how the course they're in might be connected to career opportunities. Or if you happen to be teaching life enrichment, just be aware of the career opportunities we have here that you can share with students if it comes up in conversation. Or, the guy standing behind you at the grocery store in line. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people over the years where you start talking about something and people don't realize all the things you can get at the community college. We want to help students understand that they do have financial aid opportunities here. Not many schools have the volume of financial aid that we have available for continuing education students. I mean, you hear about, of course, FAFSA and Pell Grants for credit students, but we have a lot of financial aid opportunities. I'm going to talk a bit more about that on the next slide. Make sure the students know there are support services. We have what we call success navigators, and those are folks that really help with the life stuff that might go wrong for a student. It could be housing, it could be transportation, it could be food, and we have folks, and also it could be just needing resources for, good mental health, or even helping a family member. So we have success navigators. They are so invested in helping our students. If you run into a student that's having an issue, please feel free to help them navigate their way to our success navigators. Our coordinator, whoever you work with as your coordinator, would be able to help you with that too. And also the disability support services. If you have a student who, needs some support services, things like extra time on a test or note taking, or, even as far as if they need sign language, those types of things. We have all those available. Those services are free of charge to our students. So if you become aware of a student needing something, please reach out to any of us to help get them connected. And of course, if you have some ideas how to improve things that you're working on, that you're teaching, how we can help our students have a higher level of success, or even an idea for a new course, please let your coordinator know, the person you work with the most frequently. We get a lot of great ideas from our instructors. A lot of our instructors are working out in the field, so they have their finger on the pulse of what's happening in these different industries. So we definitely rely on all of you for that kind of feedback. And if you know someone who's interested in teaching any of those types of classes, please let us know that as well. Did want to spend just an extra minute on financial aid because it is so critical for our students. We have several different funding sources. We have something called the Maryland Promise. We have Baltimore County Promise. We have the Workforce Sequence Scholarship, which comes from the state. We have the Opportunity Grant, which comes from our own, basically our own foundation and the money that the colleges put aside for students. And those all have different qualifying pieces. They all have different amounts they might award, but there's a lot of different programs available. So It's not too hard to get started. So if you have an opportunity to have a conversation with the students, all they really need to do is call our call-in information center. They'll get them started. Some they need to fill out the FAFSA, but not all. But the FAFSA apparently has gotten much, much easier over the last 10 years compared to when my kids were getting ready to go to college and you had to have loads and piles of your tax reform, tax forms and all of that. It's not so difficult anymore from what I understand. So I just wanted to mention that because it is so critical to our students. I wanted you guys to be aware of that so you can be passing that word along if it comes up or the opportunity arises. And additional resources, Continuing Education has a really great web page with lots of links to it. So that's the URL for it there at the bottom. One of the main things that's on there that's a great resource for students and friends of students is our career resource guide. That's a document that has every single workforce training program we have outlined. So there's a great table of contents, which would include all those programs we just mentioned tonight and others. And then when you turn to that page, it'll tell you the exact classes, the exact costs, when the program's offered, like how often does it start, what campuses they're at, what kind of skills would you need, what does the job entail. So it's a really rich resource guide, and not everybody knows it's there. So that's easy to find on our website. And then of course the schedule of classes, I think Matt mentioned it. That's the one that goes out to a good proportion of Baltimore County homes 3 times a year that has all the classes coming up in the next, it's not quite the semester, but we have one in the fall, we have one that's winter and spring, and we have one that's the summer. So that's a good resource too to see what's happening right now. And I think, are we up to questions and contact?